Welcome back, everyone, here to Live Now from Fox. We appreciate everyone continuing to join us here. We are in some breaking news right now out of Houston. Viewer discretion heavily advised of a stolen big rig chase that has ended, but the suspects still not wanting to come out of the truck here. And you can see that they have special police activity right now with SWAT team members engaging at this windshield right now. And you can see there that the police are right on top of this situation. And I say again to you, viewer discretion is heavily advised. This is a live, raw, and unfiltered feed that is going on right now. To the side, to the left of your screen, they're right by the door of the truck here. You can see, well, now they're fading away a little, but you can see that there's a robot as well heading to the door of this truck here. So right now you can see the SWAT team member on top here of this Bearcat, and has the gun looking towards the windshield right now. And we are continuing to showcase this right here to you on Live Now from Fox, always worldwide here for you. Once again, we just cannot reiterate enough. Viewer discretion is heavily advised during this moment. And we are awaiting for more updates from police. It's always a very tense situation playing out. Here's the robot that I wanted to showcase to you as well. You could see that they are maybe trying to get a look of the suspect as well, or trying to open the door. But that shot due freezing up right now. We do want to keep an eye on it and stay right here with us on Live Now from Fox. Looks like the shot did stabilize for us right now, and we are able to. But again, this is a live, raw feed. Anything can happen. Anything will happen. And we continue to appreciate you joining us here, as this is a very tense situation playing out right now in Houston, where all eyes right now on this police SWAT team member as well as the suspect. You don't know at this moment if he is already down inside of this truck, or if he is simply hiding right now from the gunshots that are being rung out right now here on Live Now from Fox, that we were able to bring to you just moments ago here of this big breaking news element. And you can see that SWAT team member center of your screen on top of the Bearcat right there. And this is all coming from the sheriff's office right now. That suspect was on a police chase with this stolen 18-wheeler. And it continues to be really a very tense moment. Here comes more of the robot. You can see trying to maybe engage with that door, trying to swing it on open. At this moment, we do not have any more updates here for you, but we are staying on this right now just to showcase again what we're all about here on Live Now from Fox. It is all about live, raw, and being unfiltered in the moment here of major breaking stories on Live Now from Fox, everyone. And let's look again. You can still see, oh, look at that. That is interesting. That truck is still trying to rev right now. The wheels are still spinning. Obviously, that wheel is out. It is flattened. And they got the Bearcat in front of there. But that suspect still trying to rev those wheels right there. Look at that right now. And all right, we want to now toss it over. We do have some breaking news elements continuing. I want to go now to Fox 26 in Houston. They are on this story right now. Let's listen right here on Live Now from Fox.
be revved up, if you will. And the Sheriff Ed Gonzalez says this person has been erratic for quite some time, so they want to make sure that they can resolve this peacefully as possible. At this point, we don't know if this person is impaired or there's some criminal issue at hand here, which forced him to try to evade police. Now, this is also the first time we've been able to at least identify the gender of this individual who's driving this semi, because we had no clue what was going on before. You also see members of law enforcement. There's quite the row of emergency vehicles. There's also an ambulance on scene there.
Three fire trucks.
3 fire trucks. There's members of the K9 unit there, several SWAT team members. You've seen the robot there, but you also see another robot here on the side, and another armored tactical vehicle that's on standby as well. Now, this is the feeder road at the bottom of your screen you're looking at there. Now, that feeder road has really become somewhat of a staging area because Sheriff Ed Gonzalez is on that feeder road delivering information to the media there, but that's also where we once saw this armored vehicle. It was stationed there, and now it has made its way directly in front of this 18-wheeler, and we have seen at least 2 shots be fired into the front windshield of this 18-wheeler. But again, Sheriff Ed Gonzalez saying they are still taking non-lethal measures, so it wasn't a bullet, but some form of some foreign object shot into the front portion. I don't want to mischaracterize what was shot in there, but they are definitely moving forward.
Yeah, and so if the driver is still, in the driver's seat, like I said, potentially with, a foot on the pedal, causing that wheel back there to continue to spin that we've been watching. It's been spinning for well over an hour now. Yeah. But the shots that this SWAT officer has been firing have been, into the passenger side, I'm sure in an effort to avoid injuring anybody. And you can see that green on the window, that was from earlier. There were 3 puffs of green smoke that came out of the vehicle. We believe that was an effort by law enforcement to perhaps, put a gas or smoke in there to smoke the person out. But we haven't got confirmation of that, what exactly caused that green. But you can see how it broke the window. And again, we never saw any movement. We never saw any activity. So whoever was in there endured that smoke 3 times.
And that's the thing too, with cabs like these, sometimes there could be a second person in there. And Sheriff Ed Gonzalez even saying that, it's still possible someone else may be in there. We don't know, but he did say at least one person tried to evade police. We continue to see the drone there. The drone is no longer on the passenger side of this 18-wheeler. It's somewhat retracted at this point, but I mean, the most intense portion of this viewpoint right now is certainly that SWAT team member at the top of this armored vehicle. Inside of that armored vehicle, we have several other members of the SWAT team there as well. So they are looking to bring this thing to an end as peacefully as possible, but this has been everything but, as this began as an officer simply trying to do the, okay, here we go.
Wow.
Okay, this is another piece of machinery being used. We've seen this used on houses and front doors before, as we've covered this. SWAT team now moving in, throwing in another foreign object, potentially a gas of some sort to try to get this person to come out of this semi.
And we're waiting to see. Okay, we're seeing smoke coming out of the window now.
Coming out.
So another effort to smoke the person out. They're really taking every step they can to keep everybody safe. And hoping that, they could smoke whoever is in there out. But we're not seeing any movement at all.
Here we go at 3:36, about 2.5 hours from the beginning of this incident that took place. We now have, this is the most movement we have seen in the advancement of law enforcement to try to get this driver to come out. 2.5 hours later, this is the scene. This person is completely surrounded. We have officers on the other side of I-10, behind the truck. We have that officer again on top of the armored vehicle with his weapon drawn. Several other members of the SWAT team inside of that armored vehicle as well. We have the robot on the ground, and you just saw that much larger piece of machinery really put a hole inside of the front portion of this cab, and we see the smoke coming out at this hour.
And we continue to see that wheel spin that we've been seeing spin for more than an hour since this vehicle has been stopped. This comes after that SWAT officer that's, on top of the SWAT vehicle this to your right, just off the screen, fired multiple shots right into the front windshield of the cab. And now we're seeing that piece of apparatus come in again. It looks like they're going to try and burst through the window, the passenger side window, to create another opening so they can get a better view. It's been hard for them to see into the cab because the green smoke, really turned that window green. And it looks like they're really, at this point, just kind of tearing out the door.
This has the ability to tear and rip anything, really. I've seen it used on homes. I've seen it used on cars. That seems to be like a blanket.
Okay.
Maybe a blanket of some sort, but there is not many places, not much place for this person to go. This guy has got to make a decision here. The smoke wasn't enough.
Yeah, pouring that out. And hopefully once the smoke clears, we'll be able to see a little bit about what's going on in there.
And again, you see the SWAT team member, weapon drawn.
And the sheriff is speaking. Let's see if we can listen into the sheriff.
And we'll update you all as soon as possible.
And like you said, it sounds like what they're doing is the tactical team is breaking into the cab. Okay. Is that something that you can speak to, something that's like typical, or are they trying to figure out what's in there?
I mean, obviously, ultimately, we need to get into the cab, or that's where the focus is right now, because that's where the driver's at. So, again, it's an active scene. So while I've been here, I don't know the latest. And frankly, I leave that up to our trained professionals that are excellent at what they do and trained for all kind of scenarios. So I really can't speak to what they're trying to do or what they would do, simply because for safety of everybody involved, got to let them execute whatever they're doing. But I'm not aware of what they're doing at this moment.
Just to clarify, where was the intersection?
I was told Freeport and East Freeway outbound.
Okay, so you were just getting a little bit of an update again from Sheriff Gonzalez, Harris County Sheriff's Office, which has been, they've been on the front, on point for handling this incident. There have been other Baytown Police and some others that have also responded, but the Sheriff's Office is on point on this. And we just basically saw this apparatus, kind of tear out the passenger side door of the cab. I just walked over, Anthony, to the screen to see if I could see inside that cab, any better, but it's dark in there. We're sort of seeing a lot of wreckage of, what the apparatus was able to kind of pull out. We saw what looks like maybe a blanket or some fabric that was pulled out, but we haven't seen any movement inside the cab. It's been hard to see through the windows, not just for us, but for the officers out there. They've had, a robot approach right up to the window to see what was going on. And you can see there's still a SWAT officer on top of that SWAT vehicle with his scope, set on that front windshield, as they're still trying to determine whether this person is a threat in any way, or whether they might be incapacitated. We just haven't seen any movement, so we don't know.
And that was our Abigail Dye who asked that question of Sheriff Ed Gonzalez there as they try to continue to get some more details. So let's go to Abigail. I want to hear what she has to say and her assessment of what was said. Abigail, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Well, Gonzalez just got off of this press conference that he gave us, and he gave us a lot of information about how this all started. It really wasn't this huge climactic situation. Obviously, we're experiencing the climax right now. This whole chase just started about 5 miles from where we are near Freeport Street, and it moved westbound to where we are now. And, Sheriff Gonzalez, I know that you have been keeping, Anthony and Heather, you guys are keeping an eye on our eye in the sky, and we saw tactical units trying to break into the cab of this 18-wheeler, and Gonzalez said that he can't really comment exactly on what those tactical units are doing right now because he was standing right here as that was happening, but he says they're just trying everything they can to de-escalate this in a safe way. They're using that robot, they're using non-lethal force and shots, and they're just trying to get this driver who's still in that cab to come out safely and peacefully. And so they're just trying all these different tactics. We'll show you a bit of the scene here behind us. Like I said, this started just about 5 miles away. Gonzalez says this chase, it wasn't crazy. It wasn't like this 18-wheeler was going 50 or 80 miles an hour like we've seen in the past with these 18-wheeler chases. This was just a slow progression, and as they continued to chase this 18-wheeler here on I-10, they ended up deploying those spikes, which stopped the truck. It came off to the left side of the lane, as we've been seeing from the helicopter, and now we are fully surrounded. And like I said, Gonzalez says we're just continuing to use these different tactics, and they don't know who this driver is, but a little bit about the behavior of the driver. Heather, I know I heard you say that we could see that front wheel continuing to spin. That was the driver revving the engine. So apparently this driver continues to be putting his foot on the gas, and at this point, authorities and officers, everyone out here, they don't want this 18-wheeler to take back off. They don't want this car, this vehicle back on the road because of obvious reasons. I mean, it's a huge vehicle. It could be very dangerous, and we don't know the intentions or the mind state of this driver at this point. And we've also, we asked Gonzalez if we know anything about this driver, if we know anything about this company, the truck that this driver is driving. And they say at this point they don't. They don't know why he didn't stop for police. Police initially tried to stop this 18-wheeler because it was stalled out. And so, yeah, and so, like I said, it started very slowly, and obviously it escalated very quickly here.
Yeah, and we don't, as to Abigail's point, we don't know who the driver is yet. They just told us the only descriptor they have is male, and they believe either a white or Hispanic male. Is that? Did they say anything further, Abigail?
No, nothing further about the description, no age, nothing like that. But like you said, Heather, white or Hispanic male. We're not exactly sure, like I said, why this person, why he decided to run from police, why he decided to run from authorities. But at this point, they're just hoping that he's not armed, that there's nothing dangerous inside this 18-wheeler, and this situation doesn't escalate any more than it has.
Abigail, this is Anthony. Have you got a chance to see anyone just kind of maybe working at some of these businesses nearby, or have you had a chance to speak to anyone that you may have seen that's not associated with the active investigation, but more so just a witness?
Anthony, not at this point. I mean, I'll show you what I can see here. Obviously, right here is a hotel. We've seen just a couple, as you can see, someone's coming out to videotape what's going on right now. We've seen just a couple of people in and out of the hotel, mostly workers. But, you know, everyone out here knows just about as much as we do. But we'll go ahead and send it back to you for right now.
Yeah, so we're watching this, the tactical, I don't even know what to call this thing, Anthony, but it's again tearing out more of the side of the passenger side of the cab. But we still haven't been able to get a good look. It's dark inside to see, you know, a look at this driver or what seems to be happening beyond the passenger side of the cab. But they continue to tear out more of this, you know, basically the metal and some of the things that were in the passenger side. You can see some of the debris there on the ground, the blue, some sort of fabric or blanket or something. So they just keep kind of widening this opening in an effort. And you can see the robot, it's still got its, you know, eye, if you will, poised, looking into the cab, giving the officers a look at what's going on inside. And because it's dark, we can't see from our perspective what may be happening, if anything at all.
Yeah, and this has really escalated up until this point. By all accounts, officers have tried multiple ways to get this guy out of this cab, and this is the point we're at now. So to give you guys a quick recap, if you can imagine this for a second, this is the passenger side of the cab. Before, we believe that there were multiple shots shot into this cab, and there was a green smoke that came out of it. If you look at the top of the cab, you can see little remnants of that green smoke. When that happened, no movement from the driver. That man decided not to come out from From there, we then had multiple units from the SWAT team show up on scene. We also captured the moment a chopper landed on I-10. We saw a member of SWAT hop out with a sense of urgency, rush to the scene, and then we started to see more black unmarked cars show up to the scene as well. And then we had at least a dozen members of the SWAT team there. Then we started to see these armored trucks show up as well. That is the armored truck here directly in front of that semi where you have one of the SWAT team members. You see him right here, weapon drawn. We have seen him fire multiple shots into the cab, not bullets. I want to be clear. They are still using non-lethal force here, but he has fired his weapon at least twice into the front portion of the windshield of this 18-wheeler. Still, no movement from the driver. That is when we started to see this piece of machinery here at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. They are using that apparatus to then first, what they did, if you see this American flag on the decal, they put a hole right there. That was the main point of entry first, and they tossed in some gas, a gas of some sort. Still, again, no movement from the driver. That is when this larger apparatus was brought in, and it is now ripped out the passenger side of this 18-wheeler at this very moment. But again, still no movement from the driver. Now, this piece of machinery has a lot of capabilities. It can pretty much rip out the entire portion of this truck. So, but again, the SWAT team members are still trying to figure out. I do want to make note here, what we can't tell you from this vantage point in the chopper is what's being said. We do know members of the SWAT team obviously are there, but there are negotiators there as well. So what we can't provide you with is an understanding of that means of communication, if in fact there is communication happening directly between law enforcement and the driver of this semi. This is now, was it 3:49 in the afternoon? So we are approaching a 3-hour mark of this standoff. A lot of things happening.
And the tactical machines going in again to try and create a little more of a viewpoint for them to get an assessment of what's happening inside. And if you've ever been in one of these cabs, you know, you've got your sort of your driver and passenger section that you can see there in the front, and then they often have kind of like a sleeper cabin or another part of the cab where people can also be. And so that's, you know, sort of been the question from the get-go, is all we know is there, you know, the driver they've described as a male, either white or Hispanic. That's the only descriptor we've gotten. And they don't know whether there's a possibility of anyone else being either in this cab or perhaps in the truck or anything like that. We just don't know. And so they're being extremely careful, you know, trying to get a better view. That's been the challenge out here since the spike strips were laid out and they were able to stop this, is they just haven't been able to see very well what's going on inside this cab. When the 3 puffs of green smoke came out of the cab earlier, you know, that helped to turn what was the passenger side window green, and part of the window was broken, and so you couldn't see into it once that happened. And from our vantage point, and while Sky Fox is giving us an excellent view right over the scene, it's still with, you know, shadowing and darkness in the cab. It's been very hard to see, you know, inside to see exactly what's going on. Again, we just haven't seen any movement.
Well, you know what, though? We're going to see everything here in a second, because this piece of machine is going to rip this entire portion out. As I'm trying to look closely here, it looks like there was even a TV inside of the back of this cab. Now you see another aggressive move here by the member of law enforcement controlling this apparatus the SWAT team frequently uses whenever they're trying to make entry into any given point, whether it be a semi in this situation or even a house. We've seen them use this as well. So that's what's happening on the side, but also please pay attention of what's happening here at the top of the SWAT, at the top of the armored vehicle right here. So we're paying attention to that as well.
And if I'm correct, Anthony, this apparatus that is breaking into the truck now, they're operating that remotely.
Yes, oh, okay. I thought I saw, I believe someone might be in that. If I'm looking closely
Okay,
here,
so perhaps it's an armored.
I believe it's armored for sure.
Okay.
And if you're familiar with these cabs, a lot of times in the back portion here you have beds. So this is what we see being ripped out here, a bed. I saw a television earlier as well. So this driver, this guy doesn't have far to go. Like this, there's not many places you can go inside of this cab. So we're going to see this thing come to an end here relatively soon. In terms of the semi itself, it is design transportation. If you realize, if that may not ring a bell, we made some phone calls because we wanted to know, like, who is the driver of this cab? Where did this truck come from? It's out of Dallas, Texas. We placed the call to the company. The company is saying no comment, but we obviously don't know if this person may have been contracted through the company or if they were employed full-time by them. We can't speak to the specifics there. Or if it was stolen.
Yeah,
yes, Heather, that is a great point. We don't know if it was stolen. So this is what we continue to witness here in real time with you as Skyfox is over the scene here on I-10 eastbound, as this was, according to police, a traffic hazard where a member of the constable's unit tried to initiate a traffic stop because they saw something that was potentially a traffic hazard, making things dangerous. And when they tried to initiate that traffic stop, that is when the driver of the semi, according to Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, led police on a chase. But he was deliberate by saying that it was at a low rate of speed. Nevertheless, officers were able to use spike strips. And if you look at the very front portion of the 18-wheeler, you can see down to the rim, bare. But we also continue to see some more information being given to us because of that press conference from Sheriff Ed Gonzalez. And I believe Heather Abigail is...
She's got some more information we're hearing about the suspect, Abigail.
Yes, Heather, so we can't really speak to his mental state, but as for his physical state, I was just talking to a sergeant here. I was wondering, you know, if he's still alive, and the sergeant says that he is indeed alive. At this point, nothing has gone out on the radios indicating that our suspect has died during this altercation because, you know, I mean, we did have those projectiles fired, and while they were non-lethal, you never know how something like that can end up. And just being in this state and revving the engine and sitting in that cab for so long, we don't know where this man's health is. So we went ahead and we spoke to the sergeant, and he told us that at this point that that suspect is still alive and is still in the cab of that truck.
That's stunning. It's stunning to hear that someone could still be alive and enduring the situation.
And there's not much room in the back of these cabs. If you're not familiar with these cabs, I've been in a couple of them. There is some room in the back where there's usually a bed. You might find a small microwave or something like that. But most of that has been ripped out by the SWAT team as they use this apparatus here at the bottom portion of your screen. And you see the bed there on I-10. And as Abigail was mentioning, you continue to see that one wheel with the smoke coming from it because there is still gas, you know, the engine being revved up at this point, even though the front portion of the wheels are down to the rim. We have seen this SWAT team member fire multiple shots. Again, they're still using non-lethal force as they fire into the cab of this semi, and still no movement from the guy inside.
And, you know, I'm sure they're wrestling with a difficult question, and that is that if this is someone who is still alive and obviously needs medical attention, then, you know, that needs to be dealt with. But at the same time, they can't risk, you know, the safety. Okay, now we're seeing more SWAT officers approaching with guns drawn, and the canine officer.
Five. Again, we aren't sure if these are bullets or another form of non-lethal shots. The canine
is inside.
All right, everyone, we are bringing you this video right now. Viewer discretion is advised, everyone, as we are back here for you live now from Fox, continuing to showcase what is happening all in real time right now. And you can see that SWAT team members have come in. They have the dog in there as well. They are looking for this suspect who they believe that is still in right now. And we are continuing to follow it for you. We got about 6 people in here right now. SWAT team members continuing to come in, and they are dragging. It looks like they have the suspect here. Police did, for the longest time, still believe that this suspect was alive here. And all right, Fox 26 is back on it. Let's go back to their coverage right here on Live Now from Fox as we are looking at SWAT team members continuing to go through this truck.
The person who's been in there. Right now, all we can see is several officers. Some are like kind of, just on the very edge or outside of the cab leaning into it. There's like 3 on the driver's side and 4 on the passenger side. They have pulled the canine officer out. The canine officer is outside and back on the ground. But so it's the officers now that are kind of, climbing up into the cab, and we don't know whether they're dealing with someone who is still alive. That was what we were just hearing from Abigail, who spoke with the sergeant on the scene, that their assumption is this person is potentially still alive, but perhaps under some sort of medical situation. We just know, as you can see there on the screen, that wheel has been churning since the stop of the chase happened, since the spike strip. So we know that something has got pressure on the gas pedal, whether it's an incapacitated driver or something else, or intentionally, we don't know. But it's been spinning consistently for more than an hour. Yeah. And you can see they're still
now they're
ripping more out of the cab.
That potentially might even be the drive. I mean, we're trying to give you guys the best. Okay, this is the driver being ripped out of the cab. There he is on the floor.
He's on the ground.
He is alive. You see the members of the SWAT team.
They're surrounding him.
Yeah, surrounding him. He's on the ground. Imagine some handcuffs here will be, or zip ties will be put on him at any second now. But as we approach the 4 o'clock hour at 3:58, a chase that began close to 1 o'clock here this afternoon has now come to an end as members of the SWAT team have moved in and have extracted the driver of the semi that has led police on a chase. And according to Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, it was moving at a slow rate of speed, but nevertheless, they had to make an assessment of what was taking place here because an 18-wheeler obviously is a very dangerous piece of machinery on the highway. And I-10, if you live in Houston, if you're familiar with that area, it's a very, very high traffic area. So they made the assessment to throw down the spike strips, stop this cab from moving, and we are now at 4 o'clock pretty much. And 3 hours later, this has now come to an end. And again, more so, I should say, also being in, covering stories like these, this could have ended in a very different way.
Very different way. They really kind of tiptoed their way up to this point, using a robot, using that tactical piece of equipment there on the left side of your screen, really kind of were very careful about approaching this cab, and again, now we're seeing the medical team responding with a stretcher, so we expect to be able to see a little bit better view. There's a suspect, and
he's
walking. I'm stunned.
Face bloodied.
Yeah.
But walking, and again, when the Sheriff Ed Gonzalez made some statements in regards to his condition, they said he was driving erratically.
Yes,
and that was an 18-wheeler on the road.
We've been listening to Fox 26 coverage. I'm your host, Mike Pages. We are at the top of the hour right now on Live Now from Fox. And what a moment we have seen for the last 40 minutes play out live, raw, and unfiltered here of a suspect that has finally been arrested after a long standoff. And what happened, this is going to be talked about for quite some time as we saw different police tactics to get this suspect out. He was not budging, and they had some very powerful elements to use for themselves to get this suspect out. After it was all said and done, SWAT team members came with a canine, and they all went in, for the most part, into that cab and dragged the suspect out. Now, stay right here with us, everyone. We are not going anywhere. We have some highlights to show you as well from this really long standoff. But wow, to imagine that the suspect is still able to walk away from this. Of course, he's being arrested here, but the moment that we are talking about, I want to, while we continue to showcase what is happening here, I do want to do a double box and just sort of show you the different elements that we saw, just in case maybe you're joining us here for the first time today and you still want to see the live pics. We've got you covered there, as always, right here on Live Now from Fox. But do want to show you just really moments ago play out all in real time right here for you on Live Now from Fox. Let's show you. Bottom right, everyone, was from earlier. And look at this as SWAT team members were just using their devices to try to just rip up the portion of the cab where the individual was in. They used smoke bombs as well. And we have some more highlights to show you, but I want to go out full again here of the suspect that is arrested. He's able somehow, some way to walk away from this after the Bearcat and so many other devices were used here. There was even one device called the Rook. That was the long section of that piece. Really, it looked like a piece of metal, strong metal, just ripping through the cab there. And there is the suspect in question, being taken away by ambulance, will be checked out at the hospital. But what an experience that must have been inside that cab when all of the police force was really, literally at his door there of the cab trying to get him out. And the K9 officer able to come through as well and turn on the heat there and get that suspect out, along with the brave SWAT team members that were, again, showcasing the strength there of the Harris County Sheriff's Office and so much more here. Do want to show you some more highlights while we provide you the latest video. Take a look here from moments ago on the right.